Welcome to the UFFS Podcast with Darren Bates and Larry Fisher. Shining a spotlight on the most realistic fantasy sports platform ever. If it happens in Ultimate Franchise Fantasy Sports, you'll find out here. UFFS, you own the game.
To the official UFFS pod number 26, a special Saturday edition, of course, because Dean, producer extraordinaire, is heading off on vacation. Well-deserved, of course. And we are proudly broadcast on the UFSN network. And this, of course, is the home of some outstanding podcasts, such as Full Count Fantasy Baseball, the Ultimate Roundtable, the UFHL Now. Speaking of the Ultimate Roundtable, want to remind that we are looking for scouts for the next episode. It's going to be recording July 15th at 9 p.m. Eastern, and looking for UFFS scouts to get in on this one. So please contact me. You can find me at darren.ufsn@uffsports.com or find me on Telegram. And speaking of UFHL Now, Fish, I know that you guys had some major announcements just come out. I just watched that thing yesterday. That was a fantastic show, and what a great way to announce some exciting NFT stuff to the world.
Yeah, to have Ryan Malone come on as not only an ambassador and the hockey's first digital athlete NFT, but to have him within a matter of a week get so excited and interested in the UFFS ecosystem that he turns around and buys the Dynasty franchise as well as their UFAHL affiliate Dawn Patrol. And then to have him come on the podcast and unveil and reveal all of the above was just a blockbuster of a show yesterday on UFHL Now. And it's great to have Ryan in the fold. He's excited to get going and now excited to own a franchise as well.
Yeah, we're going to talk about what is so NFT exciting. It almost sounds like I'm swearing when I say that, but I'm certainly not. Well, I like to swear when I get excited, so it's really cool. We're going to talk about important dates, of course, as well, coming up later in the program in the UFFS ecosystem, and reminders that people should keep in mind. And two great guests on the show today: Andy McNamara, head of football operations for the UFAFL, and any other football that is sure to come in the future. Minor leagues, college, etc. It's all going to be under the helm of Andy. Talk about the exciting event coming up in Vegas, of course, the franchise auctions, and the mystery man, Mojo Designs, and Morgan Bray, who's behind a lot of the logos here in the UFFS ecosystem. He's going to be coming up as well, and we'll talk to him right after this.
Time for a quick lineup change, but Bates and Fish will be back right away with today's guest.
Well, you know what? Very excited to have what I call our go-to logo designer, creator, whatever you want to call him, graphic artist here in the UFFS ecosystem, Mojo Designs, a.k.a. Morgan Bray, or is it Morgan Bray, a.k.a. Mojo Designs? I'm not sure, but welcome to the program, Mojo, Morgan.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Hey, absolutely. Great to have you here. Now, I got to tell you, first of all, I'm jealous because, they often say don't ever say you can't in life. Don't say you can't. But when it comes to art, drawing, that is one thing that I can't do, and I never have been able to. I can't even draw a stick man, so I'm jealous when I see your artistic talent and anybody like you. But let's start from the beginning. How going back, how did it start out? Was it drawing? Was it painting? Coloring? What was it? And then getting into graphic design. How did this all begin for you?
Yeah, it's kind of a long journey. My family has I have a few family members that are quite artistic. My grandma is a really good painter, and who's a graphic designer in Calgary. So it may be a little bit natural like that. But growing up, I was always, you could ask my parents, I was always redesigning jerseys, redesigning logos for NHL teams. You can look through my old sketchbooks. You'll see a ton of different jersey concepts from when I was 8, 9, 10, pretty much from when Crosby entered the league. That's when I really got into hockey. But for design wise, in 2015, I actually designed Eric Comrie's goalie mask for the 2015 World Junior Hockey Championships. That was a contest through Boston Pizza and Hockey Canada. And I won out of 13 to 18-year-olds across the entire country. So that was a huge deal. And they gave me a replica mask signed by Eric Comrie, who is now a prospect for the Winnipeg Jets. He plays for the Manitoba Moose, obviously. And they actually sent me to Montreal to watch Canada and the US on New Year's Eve in the Bell Center, which was a very cool experience, packed house. And as a young 14-year-old kid, that was quite the experience. So, yeah, that's kind of how it started. And then I got back home, and the next thing was kind of my sister was looking to start a girls team in our local community. And they needed a new identity. They didn't want the same identity as the boys, the men's league, the men's team in the town, just because they were pulling girls from, I think, 9 or 10 different communities in the area. And so they needed identity, and I gave them just a kind of a logo idea. They didn't really have anything settled yet. And I gave them the idea of the Balcarres Barracudas, which was basically just a play on the San Jose Barracudas logo. And they decided to roll with it. And I was just doing that on pen and paper at that point. And I really didn't get into like graphic design on the computer until I was in university a couple years ago. And so I was doing early logos on, cheap programs. And then about a year and a half ago, I think I got Adobe Illustrator finally. And then, local businesses like electrical companies, welding companies, farms and different agricultural businesses were reaching out to me. And I actually did the 30th anniversary logo for Young's Equipment, which is a big farm equipment dealership here in Saskatchewan. And so that it kind of just snowballed from there. And then eventually I got into the UFFS, did a couple logos really early on, and then it just picked up from there. And it's kind of just, the rest has been history. But I've kind of been doing graphic design for a solid probably 2 to 3 years. And I don't think I've had more than 3 weeks where I haven't had a project. So it's been consistent, and it's been really good.
Man, you're a busy guy. Great story, great lead in. The Eric Comrie thing. I think obviously you're a natural fit. So you've done a lot more than just sports logos. Obviously, you talked about welding companies, agricultural. I think you've done some stuff for the city of Regina. I think I've seen some of that. Within your social media pages, and some signature logos here. You have a very signature style, I would say, here in UFFS. On your sidebar there, we saw the UFAFL logo, which I think we put you through the ringer on that one, trying to move some things around. And I thought you were probably starting to get a little crazy with us in all our demands, but we want what we want. And I'm sure a lot of the franchise owners are much the same way. UFSN logo as well, which we're on right now. So great work. It's not only sports, but is sports kind of becoming your go-to? Is that where your heart is when you do graphic design, or does it really matter to you?
It doesn't really matter to me. As of late, it's definitely become the main focus that I've been doing, just because I've gotten so many calls to do UFFS logos. I think in total there's been 14 logos or 14 different things that I've unveiled logos for. So that includes 11 teams, and each of those teams have about three different versions of logos for them. And then 2 leagues, of course, the UFAFL, and then the UFGA, the golf league. And then I've done the UFSN. And then I think I have 5 projects that I'm currently working on right now. And then maybe 10 to plus coming up, I think. So I'm going to be super busy. But yeah, the sports has definitely been my main focus. When I was starting, of course, it was more just local businesses. And as you said, I work for Regina Downtown, kind of with the city of Regina, doing their graphic design, their social media posts for different programs they hold downtown in the park, and things like that. So early on, it was definitely more local, electrical businesses, a lot of agricultural based businesses, just because of the area I live in. But since basically January, it's been mostly just sports. Yeah.
Right on. And obviously Eric Comrie, I got to know him a little bit when he was in Tri-City, and he always had nice masks. That was sort of a calling card for Eric Comrie right when he came into the WHL. He always had the nicest mask in the WHL. And I believe I remember the one that you designed for him. And so that's an awesome story. When it comes to the the UFFS, obviously, like I said, you've done the UFSN logo, UFAFL, you've done quite a few of the league or the sport logos as well as the franchise logos. What stands out for you? Is there a favorite one? I mean, we're seeing the UFGA there. I think that's a super cool logo. Which ones stand out for you?
All of them I've enjoyed. Like, there's certain parts of all of them that I really, really like. The UFAFL, I really enjoy. I like the star that comes underneath and kind of wraps around the letter. And I've actually seen a couple of your guys have made it a little 3D and put some shine on it. I think that looks super sharp. Some of the teams that I've really liked to do as well, because the owners have their own personal twist that they like to, throw into their own identities of their teams. So, for example, the very first logo I did in the league was the Stingrays. And of course, that had the owner is based out of Costa Rica. So I tried to make that logo have a very Costa Rica-esque feel with, the different design elements within it. And then one of the more recent ones, the Trucelent Owls of the AHL league in your ecosystem. The owner wanted to combine an owl with Brian Burke, which was obviously a super big challenge for me. I'm like, how do you make an animal look like Brian Burke, who is such a prominent figure in hockey and a well-known guy? So I tried to make his hair look as slick back as possible. I threw a tie on him, and I think I got the message across with that one. And then another one I really liked was actually the Eliminators, because it was based off of a monster or a beast off of an old video game called Dragon's Dogma. And that was a little different one because I didn't have a lot to work with as a reference picture or anything like that. Any picture you looked up online, they were pretty dark and dingy, kind of just screenshots from the video game. And so it was hard to capture that. So I made him look like he's hitting the gym more. And I kind of fixed the way his face looked a little bit. But I think they all turned okay. But I think all my projects, I've liked a lot of them so far. Yeah.
Right on. I love the truculent owls. I think the tie is what sold it, right? The Brian Burke tie, and especially because it's undone, hanging around the neck, just like Brian. So I think that captured that as perfectly as you could. And I wonder, looking forward, does it make much of a difference making logos from one sport to another? Because obviously we have American football, the UFAFL launching soon, followed by the UFBA, UFLB. We got basketball, baseball. I mean, the Legends League in football. There's going to be about 150 new franchises by the end of the year. I know, like Darren said, you're kind of becoming the go-to guy. You're going to be busy. You can't take on all of them, I'm sure, but have some of those potential franchise owners reached out already? And are you, in your mind, are you already playing with some ideas that if somebody came to you and said, hey, I don't know what my franchise name is going to be, do you always sort of toy around with different logos and just sort of mock-ups yourself for potential franchises?
Yeah, I try to keep it pretty generic usually when I'm doing the logos. For some of them, like the Owls one, there was a version that the owl was actually clenching a hockey stick, so that's obviously not going to work. But I would try to work with the logo design so that it would work. So maybe I would take if a basketball owner came to me and said they wanted an owl logo, I would maybe just change the way his feet are holding something, and maybe he's holding a basketball or something like that. But I've had Alex, the owner or the kind of the head of basketball in UFFS, reach out to me, and I think we're going to have a project where I maybe design the logos beforehand that potential team owners in September can then pick from a pool of logos that I create instead of starting the process after the auction happens. So they can just have an identity right off the gate. But yeah, I don't think it really makes a difference because that style that you mentioned that I have, it's kind of that esport style that you see for many esport leagues and stuff like that. So those can really be transferable between whatever you're using. But yeah, there is different styles per league. Basketball sometimes is a little more simpler. Baseball is obviously a lot of text many times. So yeah, it just depends on what the owners want and things like that.
Man, who would have thought so much goes into the design of a logo? And I know it does because I've been a part of a couple of these logos. And like I said, we put you through the ringer on, trying to get things just the way we wanted. So it astounds me in my mind when you start from I guess, concept to finish, or you have a franchise owner or maybe a scout or whoever it is that comes to you and say, hey, Mojo, I need a design. They maybe don't have much of an idea, but maybe have a name in mind. From start to finish, how many hours does the typical project take, or maybe even the longest project? How long does it take you from start to finish?
Yeah, it's hard to say. Some of them have taken, I would say the shortest ones have probably taken 6 or 7 hours. And some of the longest ones probably are reaching 10. So it's around 8 usually for the logos from start to finish, but that's spread out between, because I start on just pen and paper. I sketched out as many ideas as I can, different layouts, different styles. If it's an animal, maybe having the animal facing different angles, having different expressions, things like that. And then I circle the best ones and I put them into vectors on Illustrator, and then I send them off to the clients that are asking me to do the logos, and then they come back to me with feedback, and then it can be back and forth with feedback and changes, maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 times with colors, shading, different things like that. So yeah, it can be quite a process, and I would say typical it's about 8. But yeah, it can be as little as 6, it can be as high as 12. But that's spread out over time because, of course, I'm a full-time student and I work full-time as well. So I kind of pick at them when I can. But it's quite the process.
And I do know that you're a full-time student. In fact, I think you're going for your teaching degree. So congratulations. I think you're almost there. And I also do know that you are involved in practice teaching this year. So I had this vision in my mind of teaching teenagers, which I can't even imagine, especially being a new teacher, because I know what we did in school when new teachers came in is we definitely put them through the initiation process. And I think most teenagers do. So you must go back and design your logo that probably has a little bit of angst in it that day. Maybe it's got a little bit more gritty teeth and maybe horns coming out of its head or something like that. It must be quite the experience to settle your mind down after one of those days. But hey, let's look at, I noticed, before we run out of time, I see you're wearing, and we can't see the entire jersey, but it's WHL. Show us what brand you're promoting today. Yes.
Regina Pats, my hometown team. Yeah.
Absolutely. And, from Abernethy, Saskatchewan, small town about an hour east of Regina. So it makes sense that you'd be a Pats fan. And it's a good, segue into the real world, away from logos for a minute and into the real world sport. I know you're a hockey fan. I've seen some pictures you posted, and I think you had a bet on the New York Islanders. Of course, they're not in it now. So who do you get behind in terms of favorite teams or hockey players?
Well, I'm a diehard Penguins fan. I have been since Crosby came into the league. I think that I was kind of taken into the Crosby-Pittsburgh effect, just like kids nowadays are with McDavid and Matthews and those kind of players. There was a young kid looking for a sport to play, and Crosby was the big new thing coming into the league. And so, I kind of tailored to him. And one of my uncles is a big Penguins fan, so he kind of got me hooked. And but yeah, for the NHL, I'm all Penguins, all Crosby, and I'll be really sad when in a couple of years when he calls it quits. But there's lots of new stars coming up. But for the WHL, I'm obviously big Pats fan. I'm really happy that Connor Bedard is here in the city now. And I think we're going to have a good team for a couple of years when he's here, but he's obviously probably going to leave pretty early because he's looking like a pretty good player. So, I'm a big hockey fan, big Penguins fan.
And looking forward, like I said, having Connor Bedard there, and then potentially the next exceptional generational type player. He gets some comparisons to Connor McDavid with his speed and game-breaking ability. I don't know if you were able to get into the rink to see him live at all this year, because obviously with COVID, it was hard to see live games, but got to be looking forward to seeing a full season from him next season.
Oh yeah, super pumped. I've already marked on my calendar all the home games they announced them, I think, last week. So yeah, they're already marked on my calendar. I'm ready to go. But yeah, one of my uncles is actually the photographer for the Regina Pats. So he was the photographer for the entire Eastern hub in the WHL this past season. And so he got to see every game that was in the hub, including all the Pats games. And so I got some really good candid shots of him skating that maybe weren't released by the Pats or released by him. And I got even couple signed things that my uncle was able to get from him too. So I probably got couple of the earlier autographed items from Connor Bedard. So yeah, it's pretty good.
Wow, that's awesome. And obviously Regina hosted a Memorial Cup not too many years ago, and a really strong tradition with the Pats there. I know they celebrated I think your jersey is the 100-year anniversary jersey or has a patch, but yeah, it's a exciting franchise to follow. And what about growing up? Did you play hockey? I know you mentioned your sister played. I assume you played. Yeah. Did you play sports as well?
Yeah. I grew up playing everything that I could. Yeah, I played hockey was of course my main sport. I played I think for 14 years, 15 years. I think I started skating when I was 3 or 4. So I was really early on. I started skating in the old Aberdome, the Aber Rink, wearing our Montreal Canadiens looking jerseys. And then I went on and moved to Balcarres and played. And then I actually played for the Melville Millionaires for a couple of years at the end of my career. And then I actually officiated hockey for 9 years as well. So, and then growing up, I also played basketball and soccer and all those things. So yeah, I was very active growing up, but hockey was my main focus for sure.
Fish, what we're going to have is one of these NFT Mojo Designs, Morgan Bray, Melville Millionaire jerseys. Maybe we can offer that up, something like that. As you are the go-to guy, some of these iconic logos of ours you've developed, the UFAFL, as we mentioned, going to be super, super busy as we get into our big, franchise auction coming up live in Vegas, of course. So you're going to get a lot of exposure there, Mojo, when we kick that off, and you're going to get a flood of people looking for design. So you might want to start thinking about some of that and maybe have some pre-prepared ones as you were talking for basketball. Alex had a great idea there. And I'm going to let Larry ask this question, but as we are running out of time, there's this one thing that we've always asked a lot of our guests on our show. It's kind of an interesting one. I'm interested to hear what you have to say.
Yeah, so Morgan, we always ask the guests, if you had the opportunity to have a fireside chat or go out for dinner with any athlete or celebrity alive or no longer here, who would it be and why? Who would you like to pick their brain or have a real intimate conversation, intimate evening with?
Mm-hmm. Oh, so many. There's so many that come to mind. With sports, obviously, I'm going to probably pick Crosby or Gretzky or somebody like that. McDavid even. I actually saw, speaking of the mask thing, I was actually, Hockey Canada put us in the same hotel as Team Canada. And so when my dad and I were hanging out in the lobby, looking at different things in the lobby, a lot of the players actually walked by us, and 14-year-old kid, and all of a sudden Darnell Nurse, Connor McDavid, and Sam Reinhart walk right in front of you, and you don't have a pen, and you're like, oh, I need an autograph, and they're already in the elevator. So I wasn't able to talk to them, but they walked 5 feet in front of me. So those guys come to mind. But for celebrities, it would probably be somebody like Tom Hanks or Jim Carrey or somebody like that, just because I've always been a big fan of theirs. So
awesome. Of course, Tom Hanks. Yeah, reminds me, and I do know your dad, and I've seen him dance at a couple of weddings when he had a couple of wobbly pops, and he tries to do he looks a little bit like Tom Hanks, and then he tries to dance like Tom Hanks too. So actually, I think he does the Carlton. It's what he does the best. Mm-hmm. He might not want to admit to it, but I think I've got it on video. So hey, glad to have you on board as part of this UFFS family. You've done a lot of great work for us, and so happy to have the man behind the mystery of Mojo Designs, because I don't know if anybody really knows what the guy looks like. And you've got a following here in our UFFS ecosystem. A lot of people love your designs, and so thank you very much for what you do. And of course, we had in the sidebar all of your contact information. I think we had Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. You don't have a website yet, you said, but you're going to work on that. But of course, we can find you on Telegram as well. So again, thanks for all the work you do. Looking forward to a whole lot more, probably with our UFAFL big launch coming up here. And thanks for joining us on the program today, Morgan.
Thanks for having me.
No problem. I'm sure we'll have you again. Coming up next, speaking of the UFAFL, we have an exciting launch coming up. I think if I count it right, 13 days and counting, as we're going to be live in Vegas doing something big. And we're going to have Andy McNamara, head of football operations, to tell us all about why you should buy one of those franchises coming up next.
Time for a quick lineup change, but Bates and Fish, they'll be back right away with today's guest.
And welcome back, Andy McNamara, becoming a regular type of thing on this program, but for good reason. Seeing you on Twitter, seeing you on YouTube, seeing you all over the place, of course, with your special sports fantasy broadcast as well. But the main thing is there's a good reason for this. It's the UFAFL franchise auction coming up, if I count it right, in 13 days at the Circa in Las Vegas. This looks like a fantastic time, a fantastic place. I'm pumped. Are you pumped?
Oh man, I there's not a word that can describe how pumped I am, boys. Like this is the big time. Like this is what we've been working towards, putting together VIP events in Las Vegas at the ultimate venue at the Circa with former, current athletes, everything across. And the big part, of course, why we're there is to get in on the franchise auction, one of 32 teams for the Ultimate Fantasy American Football League. This is it. This is what we've all been working towards. Now this is your chance to get in on this exclusive membership, really, right? The one of 32, and that takes you all through to the player draft. And guys, as we know, the higher you bid, the higher your draft pick. But it's the main thing first, folks, is to get in the door. Make sure you got your seat at the table. You know, this is the high stake poker room. It's velvet roped off in Vegas. To get in the door, you got to register at uffsports.com/UFAFL.
You said it. Now, I'm going to drop a bomb on you here. I know that you're going to Vegas. I just booked my flights, Andy. I'm going to be in Vegas too.
Yes.
Believe it or not.
All right.
I didn't know if I was going to make it, but I'm not going to miss
go.
this party, man. I am not going to miss this party. So yeah, we're going to have fun, going to hang out with some great people, including yourself, get to know some people that I have personally never met outside of, virtually here in the, the way it's been in the world the last year and a half or so. Yeah. But I want to talk about the registration process. I come from a farming background. Auction was kind of second nature to me. Going to auctions, I understand the process. I had something in mind. Didn't know if I was going to get it. Didn't know what this piece of equipment or, land or whatever it was being auctioned off was going to go for. But I made darn sure that I was prepared and that I was registered, because I can tell you what, Andy, deals were had at auctions. Sometimes things went for a lot less than I thought they might. We do expect some big prices for some of these franchises. But there's going to be some battles for, you always get the heat of the moment on the first few and maybe for all of them, but maybe not, right? Maybe not. So if you're not registered, a person's not going to even have the opportunity. Is that correct?
That's absolutely right. So if you want to play, you got to at least be in. It doesn't cost you anything to register. And you're right in that, look, are we going to get some really high-end bidders, former athlete groups coming in? Yes. People from all over the world bidding? Yes. But it doesn't mean everybody's going to be that. And we know auctions can be wild cards. So what you have to do is do that registration at uffsports.com/UFAFL. The opening bid to get in the door is $5,000, the equivalent $5,000 USD. You don't have to be in the crypto world either. We will walk you through that after. We'll walk you through that if you're new to crypto, new to the Zilliqa blockchain and Scorecoin and all that. That's not a problem. So the main thing is you register and put that first bid in. And if you get outbid and it goes above budget, no problem. Not like you're on the hook for anything, right? But you put that bid in and maybe you get surprised. Maybe you slide in and maybe you start seeing how things are. And it's like, well, heck, you know what? I can move up a few spots in the player draft, because remember, this is the highest bid gets the first overall pick in every single round of the player draft. If you're the 20th most, you get the 20th. And this is really going to come down to, I think, long term, how good of a fantasy player do you think you are? I almost accept that as a challenge. Like if I'm in at the 30th, 31st, 32nd pick, and I'm like, you know what? All right, let the big boys get that first overall pick. I'm going to build a better team. That's the challenge. That's why this is the ultimate fantasy American Football League. You're supposed to want to be and think you are, or your group is the best fantasy football player on the planet. You're going to get your chance to do that. So you get in the door, have that ready, that 5K commitment to get in, and maybe you get surprised to be in. But as you said, if you're not ready, you're not going to be able to even participate. And once you hate it, if you end of the auction on July 18th, like, oh man, I actually could have gotten involved, and you didn't.
Yeah, you don't want to miss out on this opportunity, because it's only happening once. There's only going to be one UFAFL, this is our NFL version league at UFF Sports. There's only ever going to be one NFL version league, the Ultimate Fantasy American Football League. This is your chance, your one and only chance to get in and actually be able to draft your own roster and build your franchise, the branding, build everything from the ground up. So you definitely don't want to miss out on this opportunity. I mean, franchises are always for sale. You can buy one down the road, but this is your chance to really come up with your brand, your logo, your name, and to draft that 53-man roster. And I think you nailed it there, Andy, is that when we get to draft day, that's when we'll really see which groups. Some groups will be, strictly owners, and they will hire, GMs that have won multiple fantasy leagues. We have tons of GM candidates. So I think just the prestige that comes with owning one of these franchises, it's going to be a big cross section of people. But and you mentioned too, Andy, before that if you're not one of the top 32 bidders, there's going to be a pool there of sort of like standby as well. So as long as you're registered and you're in, there's still a potential opportunity. If you've bid that minimum 5,000 USD, there's still a chance that you might get a franchise if something falls through with one of the winning bidders of the 32 UFAFL franchises. So maybe just again, just reiterate to people that you never know what can happen, and the first step is registering, and that's what everybody has to do between now and July 16th, or between now and the end of the auction, obviously.
This is a motto that I sort of live by for my professional life and all that, and it has served me well. Don't ask why, ask why not. Don't say, well, why can't I do this? Well, no, I'm not going to be able to get in. Say, why not me? Russell Wilson lived by it. He says, why not you? Never the biggest guy, never the strongest guy, and he's one of the best quarterbacks in football. For this, it's don't ask, well, okay, well, no, it's not even worth trying. You give it the shot. You register in there and you go. And think about it this way, folks. How many, and pick your sport, have rich ownership groups, and their teams stink because they can't manage or pick players, whatever. It's the crafty one. So this mirrors real life NFL. So just like real life NFL, you're going to have owners with deep pockets. You're going to have ones that have better managers or coaches, and you have better groups than the other, and draft better, right? So it's all about the gamesmanship and being a part of this, which is going to be high stakes, big prize pools, the branding that you mentioned, Larry. And there's just so many things we can't even touch on right now as far as extras coming, benefits to these ownership groups. I'll tell you, again, an example of the why not, a name that's going to be released early this upcoming week is going to be co-hosting the franchise auction show on AO Sports with me. Most people wouldn't even approach this guy. I did, and he's coming down to Vegas with me. Stay tuned for that. But that's the thing. Register, uffsports.com/UFAFL. Get in the conversation, see what happens.
Yeah, there's some big names coming on board in the days and weeks to come, leading up to the auction and further leading up to the AFLL, the American Football Legends League auctions later this year. There'll be a lot of really big names coming out, rolling out as we get closer to that. But maybe the gameplay side too, Andy. I know everybody's asking a lot of questions and getting excited. I know you're putting the finishing touches on the rule book, which was, that's a month-long process to go line by line and really come up with the core, the foundation of the UFAFL, along with your commissioner, Max, and Jamie Thomas, the director of scouting. Talk about the work you guys have done to get this league ready to kick off and get off the ground with the UFAFL rulebook coming down the pipe between now and the start of the auction or franchise auction as well.
Yeah, and hopefully, I'm crossing everything, that rule book is going to have the finishing touches on within the next day or so. So that is, I've seen the almost finished version, and we're putting the final little tweaks and custom, so it looks all nice and fancy there. So that is coming soon. But the work that we've all put in, and I say work, it's a lot of hours, but it's a ton of fun. Like I wouldn't trade this for anything. This is just a pile of fun to be able to work and build this league from the ground up. And again, what we're doing is mirroring the real life NFL. So if you guys haven't heard about what the structure is, folks, this isn't like I'll pick my flex guy and my running. No. This is a 53-man roster, 46 active on game day, including offensive linemen. That's never been done before. That's going to have fantasy football value. Special teams, backups, practice squad, keeping tight with the NFL salary cap and the floor as well. So It's all about management. So this is really, truly, folks, the closest you can get to owning an NFL franchise without actually owning an NFL franchise. It's that in depth. This is as in depth as you want. I hear all the time through my shows and everything, either I think I'm the best fantasy player, or I wish there was something more in depth, more realistic. You're not going to get more realistic than this. Again, you got to register, get in on the conversation.
And here's the other thing I think we need to be clear on, Andy. And I've walked through this through the start of the UFHL when we kicked this thing off with nothing but a concept, and we saw how this progressed in the very first year, and we're now only a year and a half into it. And we saw, many different people at the very beginning got in cheap. They paid very little for a franchise, and they played a little bit of fantasy sports, but they found it was just too much for them to manage. So what they did is they went and hired, all these people started to come on board that had played in dynasty leagues, and they bragged about how they won this and we won that. And we found very quickly that these people, they wanted to run the team. So the owners kept ownership of the franchises, but they said, hey, I've got a deal for you. Why don't I hire you on as a general manager? And this is what has become. So, you might have the people out there thinking, I love to watch sports. I love NFL. I have my favorite teams, my favorite players, but I don't know if I can manage running a thing like this ultimate league. Guess what? You don't have to. You treat it as a business. It's an investment. You'll be able to take advantage for all the other things you say are yet to come, but you hire this fantastic GM that has the experience in playing fantasy, and they've done it most of their lives, and they're looking for these opportunities. That's the other piece of it that I want to make sure that people don't forget. Yeah,
Darren, great point. It's a part of, you can have an ownership group. You can go together with 1, 2, 3, 4, however many extra people you want. You can Green Bay Packers style it. You can have community on whatever, but also like you mentioned, the management side of it. And even if you think you're a great player, you're probably going to need a helping hand, maybe, right? You could Jerry Jones it too, do everything yourself. It's up to you. It's all customized, but to have those options, and we have those resources. People have been, what's been so crazy to me is in our Telegram chats, which of course we'll get the link up. You can join those anytime as well. People putting their fantasy resumes in, saying, hey, I've won X amount of championships. I've done this, and putting themselves out there, including a couple football players who have thrown their names in the ring. So you never know who's going to jump into those chats. We had Damon Allen come in yesterday into the Telegram chat, a CFL legend. We had Devon Claybrooks who's played at NFL and CFL. Like there's so many guys coming in and out of those chat rooms. So you can make your group, you can get your coaches, you can put this together as your business, your franchise. Again, mirroring the NFL. And the cool part is, folks, if you register and you're like, look, I want in on this, I'm gonna bid. I'm at least gonna be joining the conversation to bid. Well, then you're invited to all of our VIP events in Vegas. You got to get there. We're not flying yet. You got to get there. But when you do, you can come to these events at the Circuit with all these former athletes and the VIP experiences that we're going to be putting out there from July 16 to 18. So keep that in mind as well. You registered to bid? You want in on this? Well, come on down.
I'm looking at these pictures flashing up on the screen, and I see that TV screen or that video screen that's as high as a skyscraper from the pool in Circa, Las Vegas. And I can't wait to take a picture of a selfie and me and maybe yourself, Andy, in front of that thing. And I don't think I'm ever going to leave that place, to be honest with you. No. But you think about it here. You talked about you talk about the CFL legends, coming into our chats. Devon Claybrooks is in there, and we've got Damon Allen recently joined, and it's a family. This is one of the most exciting ecosystems I've ever been a part of, where we have these people that I watched on TV, that I watched play live, that are now participating in these chats, and they're as excited as the franchise owners and the GMs to be a part of this as well. So you can see that they get it. And we talk about some of these NFTs that have come on. Justice Hill, Tristan Jackson, right? Just if we're talking about the football side of things, and then we've got the other sports as well. And this is what's mystifying to me and hard for me to get my head around, that I can actually draft these live pro athletes onto my team. They do well, I do well, I do well, they do well, and they're going to be promoting me. And that is the most interesting and cool concept, I think, on the face of the earth.
Yeah, it's that ecosystem word that we use, right? It's the ecosystem of UFF sports where everything feeds into something else and helps each other out. So yeah, Justice Hill, Tristan Jackson, more coming on the legend side, lots more coming on there. So it's going to be all about, again, these digital athlete NFTs who are going to be on your fantasy football team. You're going to have a relationship with them in the sense that, yeah, they're benefiting from their fantasy play. That's why this platform is also so unique, because it's professional fantasy sports, professional fantasy football. And so as more names come on, it's just going to keep building and building and building. And then all the extras for revenue sharing and opportunities for the franchise owners that come in as well. Like this is, you treat this not as okay, I'm signing up, I'm putting my $20 in for the year with my buddies and I forget to set my lineup thing. No. This is an investment. This is an opportunity. This is a business where you also get to have a whole lot of fun doing it.
Yeah, true. Sorry, Larry. I lose track and I get so excited about this thing. I can't remember who's even supposed to be asking the question here because I got so many things going on in my head right now. So I'm going to pass it to you, Larry.
No, I was just going to say it truly is a win-win as far as getting involved as an owner, as a GM, or as, you know, a lot of teams will have coordinators. They'll have people running their offense, defense, special teams. It's going to take on a world of itself. And that's the ecosystem again, how these franchises grow and expand and build their brand and build out their staff comparable to the real world. And then you will have the Jerry Jones do it all guys. But I think in general, I just think people are going to be surprised how realistic and how next level, how this truly is professional fantasy sports on a whole nother level. I think that's going to be an eye opener as this season kicks off in September. And the other thing, I mean, obviously Jamie's hard at work doing scouting too, and yes. the plans are rolling out to have football scouting, and that's something that's never really been done before in fantasy. We see how successful it's been in hockey with, you know, over 3,500 hockey players registered. Can't wait to see how these scouts start funneling in and the talent they can find and how many eyes are on UFFS just for the scouting as well.
Oh yeah, well the scouting is a whole nother animal. Like that's a show in and of itself, right? How deep that's going to go, getting these college athletes going into the high school levels eventually as well, and finding these gems as it comes along. And then for UFAFL franchise owners to build relationships with those scouts, right? Hey, I'm looking like Larry, it's going to get to a point where people can be associated with scouts. Hey, you know what? Next year I'm going to be looking for a running back. Just keep your eye out. You know, like having those relationship types and building that out. And that's going to start coming through after the NFL player draft, the 53 round to build your roster. 53 rounds. And we're going to have cool events surrounding that in August. But then there's the rookie auction for the guys who were just drafted in. The rookie draft following. Then you get the futures, the open market. And then we start rolling with the season. So it is really a true mirroring, again, of the NFL, where it's the full schedule into the playoffs, all that. It doesn't end after week 16. We go right through to the Super Bowl. And all those details will be outlined in the rule book that's going to be coming out and all that. But I can't stress this enough, everybody. Register, get your name in, uffsports.com/UFAFL. Put it in. You got friends, whatever, that you want to join up with. Just get in the conversation. And if you can make it out to Las Vegas, we'd love to see you there too.
Absolutely. And networking is so huge in this ecosystem. And I think get on Telegram as well. If you're listening to us and you're not part of the Telegram UFAFL group, get there and network, because there's a lot of interested people. If you are one of those people that think, you know, maybe I can't afford the first overall pick in every round or the 10th overall pick in every round, well, maybe there's another guy feeling the same way and you guys can team up and takes your pick from 30th overall to 15th, or who knows, right? Yep. So great certainly point. Get on Telegram and get registered for this event, because it's going to be huge. And I'm personally just hearing you guys talk about Circa and looking at that big video board and seeing the cabanas and the pool party, and I'm getting jealous that I won't be in Vegas for this one, but I can't wait to be there for future events, whether it's launching the UFBA or UFLB or certainly the AFLL Legends League. Vegas is going to be a hub for UFF sports, and I can't wait to be there having a few drinks with you and Darren and getting to know everybody for sure. But I'm jealous that you guys will be there, and jealous of all the people that take advantage, potential franchise owners that take advantage of registering and booking their flight to Vegas, because I think you guys are going to have a ton of fun there. And again, there's the networking aspect, right? Get to know some of your fellow owners, maybe get to know a potential scout there. And I do think we're going to see, a lot of franchises hire affiliated scouts that make a direct pipeline feeder system of talent to their UFAFL roster. But just so exciting what's to come in just 2 weeks now. You guys will be in Vegas, and the UFAFL will be coming to life.
Yeah, it sure will. And the VIP events, again, if you can get there, the former athletes, just the destination, all the specialness, the unique experience that's coming down to it, it's all there. But guys, to reiterate one more time, to be a part of this, whether you can come to Vegas or not, just to be a part of the UFAFL and all the excitement coming there, it's a simple step. UFFsports.com, you see it right there on your screen, /UFAFL. Get there, register, let us know. If you have any questions, you don't have to be, again, part of the crypto world. We'll teach you how to do that. You get in, you got questions, ask, and we'll help you out to get you in there. But you do not want to miss the opportunity to be a part of this exclusive professional fantasy football league.
And it's easy to register. It's free. Why not to have even a chance at the opportunity of having some ownership in this once of a lifetime UFAFL opportunity to own a franchise? And hey, if you miss out on the bidding for whatever reason, you don't get it, there's lots of opportunities in this ecosystem. And Larry, be sure that you will be with us in spirit in Vegas. And I hope you're by your phone, because there's going to be a lot of selfies, a lot of videos, and a lot of stuff coming your way to make you so jealous that for darn sure you're going to come to the next one. That's how it's going to go down. But yeah, would love to have you there, buddy. I know we don't need any more. I'm not going to Vegas for the heat. I can tell you right that, because we've got all of that here in Western Canada. But it's going to be a lot of fun. And it's a lot different when you got that, that bowl of wobbly pops coming around the pool. And it's going to be a great experience. Looking forward to the live event along with AO Sports, and looking forward to meeting you officially, Andy, for the first time. And this is going to be a lot of fun. So make sure you register, people. Don't miss out. This is going to be awesome. Glad we could plug this one more time on the official UFFS podcast. Thanks for joining us, Andy.
Oh, anytime, guys. I cannot wait for July 16 to 18. We'll either see you there or see you virtually as part of the UFAFL.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us again. And coming up, we are going to talk about the Klein Cup, which is wrapping up, along with the Stanley Cup, which is wrapping up. We don't know if it's going to be sooner rather than later. It looks like a sweep upon a sweep upon a sweep, or whatever's going on there. And all the other things that are happening in the UFFS ecosystem, including important dates. We've already talked about some of them, and that's coming up after this.
This is the UFFS Podcast, ultimate franchise fantasy sports, where you own the game.
Well, some fantastic guests as always, Fish. I know it was great to kind of finally meet the mystery, I guess, guy behind the name Mojo Designs. I don't know if anybody had ever seen his face before, seen his work. Morgan Bray was fantastic. All connected in the sports world in many different ways. And then, of course, Andy promoting the UFAFL. Can't talk enough about that, but I think we got the information across that people just simply need to register if they want to in any way be a part of that. But right now, what the NFT, it almost sounds like a swear word, because it almost, to me, in my mind, almost wants to go WTF, which of course means, what's that, father? Yeah, that's always the good way to put it. But NFT, it's been a crazy basically couple weeks of NFT releases in this UFFS ecosystem, so people get it. And let's start with boxing. Terrence Bud Crawford. The three of them, but we've got 37-0 record, 28 knockouts, WBO welterweight title holder. He gets it. He's going to be involved in the fighting leagues when they're up and running. So this is a great start, Fish. Great start.
Yeah, Terrence is very excited. He's going to be involved in a lot of combat sports and the combat token that'll be coming out, and certainly some esports events, all sorts of, there's a lot of different revenue streams that UFF Sports can help bring to Terrence and the boxing world. And we're excited to have him on board and partnering with Pixel Bird, who is sort of his company and his management team. So very excited about that partnership and having Terrence be the world's first digital athlete NFT and certainly the first boxer. And like you said, he's we didn't start with a lower level boxer. We started at the top. He's in the conversation for pound best in his sport, and certainly has some big fights coming up. He's still in the prime of his career. So we're thrilled to have Terrence on board and can't wait to see what he does in the ring as well as outside of the ring as an entrepreneur and helping grow the combat sports section of UFF Sports.
Well, fighting, boxing, whether it's UFC, is just massive stuff around the world. So excited to have him on board and so excited to get into that realm. Then, of course, we go to football. We've got Tristan Jackson, first NFL or first football NFT, just happens to play for the NFL's LA Rams. Already drafted in the NFL, now eager waiting to be drafted into the UFAFL.
Yeah, Tristan Jackson, obviously, as well as Justice Hill, the two football NFTs, digital athlete NFTs, came on kind of in back-to-back days or over the same week, and very exciting to have Justice Hill obviously is a running back as well for the. I don't want to butcher his team. Baltimore Ravens. Sorry, I had a mental lapse there, but the Baltimore Ravens running back Justice Hill, and then Tristan Jackson. Obviously the receiver for the Los Angeles Rams, but two guys that are, just getting going in the NFL. They're on the rise. They're up and coming athletes that are, had distinguished standout collegiate careers and are now trying to make a name for themselves in the NFL and really on the rise. So it's cool to see athletes of all different stages in their careers becoming digital athlete NFTs and for UFF Sports to, again, provide another revenue stream and a quality revenue stream for these athletes so that their on-field accomplishments are rewarded in fantasy play as well because, the fantasy stats that they rack up for their franchises in the UFAFL, like I said, they're excited to be drafted into the UFAFL and actually have relationships with the owners of the fantasy franchise. But the fact that if they perform well in the real world, they're going to get a chunk of that fantasy prize pool, as well as all the other revenue streams that are going to be funneled back into those digital athlete NFTs. It's going to be a real good relationship, and great to have both Tristan and Justice on board with us.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think Justice Hill, going into his third season in the NFL. So it's great to have these young guys on board because not only are we going to see, hopefully barring any injuries, I'm not trying to jinx anything, but, that is a factor in pro sports. But, if they remain healthy, we're going to have them for a while as part of the franchise ownership in the UFAFL. And then, of course, it goes from there. Never stop playing is the motto in the Legends League. So, if they have a lengthy career, they continue on in Legends League. So it goes on and on and on. Revenue continues to come even after retirement. That's the important thing. And these guys get it, right? They understand it. The agents get it, allowing them to be digital one-for-one representation and non-duplicated running on the Zilliqa blockchain. And that's the cool thing about non-fungible tokens, which we refer to commonly as NFTs. So this is going to be exciting. And this is only the start. There's many more to come. Many more to come.
Absolutely. Especially it seems like the football world has really taken to the digital athlete NFTs. There's going to be a consistent rollout now of football players in the weeks and months to come that are coming on board. Some big names, some other guys that are top prospects. So it's very exciting. And I think, the combat sports world, again, with the UFC, mixed martial arts, and as well as boxing, they're always looking for more revenue streams, and everything is trending towards the digital world. Esports is booming; it's huge, and again, fantasy sports is a $1 billion industry. So yeah, and the athletes currently don't see any kickback really from fantasy sports. So this is the place where UFF Sports really shines, and an area for us to give back to the athletes, to empower the athletes. And I think that's really become a focus of the platform. And certainly that's what's appealing to the athletes that are coming on board as digital athlete NFTs.
So, now I'm starting to get a big old grin on my face because last but not least, I want to talk about not only an NFT, but an ambassador and now an owner in the UFHL and UFAHL. And yeah, there he is. We're talking about Ryan Malone. And, I watched the awesome program that you and Dean were a part of on the UFHL Now. Saw Ryan on there. Great interview. I'm trying to look at his face here. I don't even see those scars, man. You opened up with that shot to the face, and I'm thinking, oh, my God, ouch. I guess this is why these guys get paid the bucks. But, man, did he ever put his body on the line in that game. But so excited to have Ryan as a part of our ecosystem. And cha-ching, he buys the Dynasty and the Dawn Patrol.
Yeah, and the trainers did good work on Ryan. He came out looking no worse for wear after an 11-year NHL career. Certainly, so a lot of high moments there. You see, he won a silver medal at the 2010 Olympics in Vancouver, and was a key player for the United States at that event. Obviously, they lost to Sidney Crosby, scored the golden goal for Canada in the gold medal game there, and he also has a bronze medal from the World Championship. And the cool thing for me for Ryan is that he was drafted by his dad. Actually, his dad was the head scout for the Pittsburgh Penguins. He waited till the 4th round to take Ryan, but Ryan came into Pittsburgh's system and was the first Pittsburgh-born and raised, developed player in Pittsburgh to play for the Penguins. Him and his dad, I know Dean mentioned also the father-son scored hat tricks for the same NHL team. That's rare. And just had a real strong career. Obviously had a good run in Tampa Bay and finished up with the Rangers. And those numbers speak for themselves. 370 points in 647 games. That's there's only about 700 to 800 athletes, hockey players that make it to the highest level. So Ryan did a lot in the NHL, and now he's looking to do a lot in the UFHL and with UFFS as an ambassador. He's very well connected in the hockey world. He was line mates with Steven Stamkos and Sidney Crosby at different points in his career. I mean, he's connected with the best of the best in the game, and he's going to help recruit more and get UFFS out there in the hockey community. And certainly the fact that he wanted to experience it all, he wanted that hands-on experience and get a feel for the UFHL. And I think that's where he really, within a matter of a week or less, he turned around and decided he wanted to be a player in the league and really get a feel for things. So he was able to strike a deal with Xavier Smith and purchase the Dynasty franchise for 150,000 score coin. And that actually includes the UFHL Dynasty franchise, the UFAHL affiliate Dawn Patrol. So that's the AHL league that'll be launching on UFF Sports platform, as well as the Azteca Scouting Agency owned 100 prospects, and all 100 of those prospects were also part of the deal. And Ryan will have a scout, affiliated scout right off the bat for the Dynasty franchise as well. So he's definitely jumped in with both feet, and he's as excited as anyone to get this going and to be a part of the league, as well as to really take UFFS sports mainstream and in the hockey world, get the word out there and make sure a lot of the other athletes, he wants to do good for the other athletes, right? He wants to see them get their revenue streams, wants to see them get rewarded for their fantasy play. So I definitely think he's going to be a key ambassador and just an all-around great guy. So we're excited to have Ryan in the fold.
Absolutely. He gets it. This is for the athletes. This is, really to benefit them as well and get that evaluation back to the athletes. This is where it should be. So he's going to be a great ambassador. New benchmark, 150,000 score. Wow. Good for Xavier. Good for Brian, who is, assistant GM of that franchise as well. I think those guys might be staying on. You might know better than me as the insider, but I think that's the idea and probably not a bad idea. So glad to have him aboard. One thing I really liked in watching the UFHL Now program, he was talking about going to visit some of the players that he owns on his franchise. And here's a dynasty cap, fellas. Now I expect some big things. I thought that was pretty cool. And that, these players are going to go, what? Tell me more. And this is how guys are going to get involved, right? And start to understand the UFFS ecosystem.
Yeah, they'll be back on the ice in a month or so for the Beauty League in Minnesota. And I know Ryan's always there and a big personality. He's a very likable guy. Everybody who's ever played with him likes Ryan. He's a character, but he's got a good sense of humor. He's a good guy to be around. And that's a tight fraternity, the NHL. It's a pretty elite group of guys, and they all are buddies. And he's, only 3 years removed from playing. So he certainly keeps in touch with a lot of active players. He'll be there at the Beauty League in the summer in Minnesota. So I'm sure there'll be some dynasty hats handed out. And I'm sure, like Dean said, he's probably the only franchise owner that can organize a team dinner. And Ryan took it a step further. He said rookie party for everyone, because they're all rookies to him on Dynasty. So there might be some fun times in the summer discussing the Dynasty franchise in the UFHL. And certainly it's going to get the word out there in NHL circles.
Yeah, it's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see, maybe get some of that UFFS merch slipped into the odd interview or something on camera. That'll be good for the whole league, of course. Speaking of the league, we are at the close, almost the close, the finish of the UFHL league with the battle for the Klein Cup. This thing, Fish, is closer than I thought. I thought, well, it's foregone conclusion. We're going to have the Klein Cup parade in Quebec City, which still could happen with the Red Army, but it's closer than I thought.
Much closer. Red Army's up by about 8.5 points or 8.15 points, but that's only a 10-minute misconduct for Corey Perry away from swinging. So it's far from over. And again, the reason everybody thought it was a foregone conclusion is Red Army came into the Klein Cup final still having 11 players. I believe 8 from Montreal, or actually I guess 10 from Montreal, and then 9 from Montreal and 2 from Tampa Bay, but really only Nikita Kucherov from Tampa Bay. And then he was Luc Grenier took a very bold strategy in the UFHL playoff draft, and nobody else was touching Montreal players. So he loaded up, including drafting a young guy like Cole Caulfield, who had such a small sample size, but he's been such a big contributor for Red Army. And so, with 11 players carrying into the Klein Cup final, the Gators only had 3 players going forward: Corey Perry, Yanni Gord, and Matthew Joseph, who's actually got in the lineup and contributed a bit for Tampa Bay to keep that close. And so, 11-3, you think it is a foregone conclusion, but here we are, 3 games into the Stanley Cup final. The series is 3-0 Tampa Bay. A lot of those Montreal players that Red Army have been getting negative points every night because plus-minus counts and all the rest. So that it's kept it close. It's certainly within striking distance going into Monday night's Game 4, which could be a sweep for Tampa Bay, and potentially, depending what Nikita Kucherov does in that game, it could lock down the Klein Cup for Red Army, or maybe Montreal has another rally up their sleeve, because certainly they came back from 3-1 on Toronto, but so far Tampa Bay just looks on another level, and looks like they're going to go back-to-back and repeat as Stanley Cup champions, which certainly Ryan Malone will be happy to see that, because he still has deep ties to that Tampa Bay franchise.
Yeah, and you can see Dean obviously has put up you can see the scoring and the players left here, in 28 points for the Red Army and 20 fantasy points for the Gators. So it's really close to the finish, which is exciting to see. It's nice to see that it is close in the UFHL when it is not. It doesn't appear to be all that close, in the Stanley Cup in the real world NHL. Obviously, I've watched parts of the games because of the heat and it's summer and I'm doing stuff outside. Can't catch the whole game, but I certainly see the shots on goal, and Montreal has given them a heck of a run, but they just can't seem to pull it out so far. And will it be a sweep? We're not sure, but it doesn't seem to be as close in the real world, but the UFHL is going to be something to watch. It's exciting down to the wire. And, in all reality, that's what I like to see. And the Klein Cup, I know, is waiting at the engraver's place of business, just waiting to see who is going to be on there. So this is really exciting to see. Second time that we will be able to put a brand new franchise and ownership and players onto the Klein Cup. Other than that, Fish will be keeping an eye out on that, and will be, I'm sure, the winner of the Klein Cup will be on the UFHL now, UFHL now program when it does happen. So we'll be watching for that. But other than that, we do have some important dates coming up. The UFHL expansion draft, I know, is one of those things that's going to be coming up soon. And people either need to have it figured out or figured out fairly close or fairly quickly on who they're going to have protected or who they're going to have available. Brennan is chomping at the bit here on what he wants to get done.
Yeah, down to 2 weeks there as well. The deadline for protected lists is actually on Saturday, July 17th. So the same weekend as the UFAFL franchise auction. That same weekend is when the UFHL franchises have to submit their protected list, official protected list. And then Brennan Kopp, the GM and his ownership group, Darwin and Drew for the Bentley Jacks, they have 3 days to sort of go through those lists and finalize their selections. And then we'll be doing a live event on Thursday, July 22nd. On the evening of Thursday, July 22nd, we'll be doing a live broadcast special event for the UFHL expansion draft, where we'll see the Bentley Jacks roster take shape. Obviously, they have a number of trades in place, but they still have to make, I believe they have 17 trades in place. 13 of them have expansion implications, which that means 13 players. They know who they're picking already. They've secured 13 players through trades. Sorry, but the other 18 players, they'll be making those selections live on, and they'll be announcing those trades, because nobody knows those trades except me. I'm lucky I'm the insider. I get that inside scoop. I know some of the players that are going to the Bentley Jacks, but all that will be revealed along with 18 selections throughout the live event. So it'll be great to see what the Bentley Jacks look like on July 22nd.
Any other quick important dates that we should be aware of in the very near future that people should have on their calendars?
Yeah, again, obviously the UFAFL franchise auctions, we can't stress that enough. July 16th to 18th, that's the big one. Certainly, there's a lot. July is a crazy busy month in the hockey, which is a sport that's already up and running. So we do have scout rankings coming out this coming week. The final rankings from the UFFS scouts. The hockey scouts have put together their list, consensus list as well. Obviously, they're gearing up towards the two auctions. The entry auction, which is our version of the NHL draft on July 24th, Saturday, July 24th, and then the futures auction the following day on Sunday, July 25th. So very busy month ahead for the hockey side of the platform, and certainly we can't be too excited. Or like I said, this is our last podcast before the UFAFL franchise auctions. You guys will be in Vegas 2 weeks from today, so can't wait to see how that plays out. But that's going to be the big date in July, certainly to get that UFAFL American football, Ultimate Fantasy American Football League up and off the ground in Vegas. I can't wait to see that play out.
So Larry, some important dates. Can't wait to be there in Vegas. We talked a lot about that today on the program, but I want to talk about, totally different subject here for a couple of minutes. You yourself, and I can understand why your brain is probably seizing up today, because you just played. Did you not just play 18 holes of golf yesterday? And it's like, what, 48 degrees? It's almost 50 degrees Celsius where you live in BC. Are you crazy? But I guess when the UFFS guys come out to take you on for a round of golf, you can't say no. Is that what it is, or what?
Yeah, the voice is cracking up a bit today. I don't know. I must have had too many waters on the course maybe, but we actually, it was a good round and we all survived. It was great to get to know for the first time the Outlaws GM, Nick Utley, as well as the Snipers' new assistant GM, Marcus Borkowski. They came up from the Lower Mainland, and anytime we can get out and meet the community members in UFF Sports, we try to do that. The founders do, I do. It's great to get out and much like I said with Morgan Bray, right? It's great to put a face to the name. And same here, never met or spoke to Nick and Marcus other than Telegram DMs. So great to meet at the clubhouse and go tee it up and play 18 holes in the heat. And we had a lot of fun and a lot of laughs and looking forward to. I think they're planning on coming back later in the summer for another round. So let's hope it's a little cooler, a little breezier. But actually, it wasn't that bad, and it was a lot of fun.
Well, knowing what the sweltering heat is bringing to BC, and it's slowly making its way here to Manitoba, we're pretty hot here too. I can't imagine playing 18 holes on the golf course. I think you guys are psycho. But what I don't know still, we had this little bet going, and I told you about this on another program, but Nick, I bet him in the UFGA little contest we have going on there. When my wife gets in, I said, yeah, so I'll bet you this amount of ZIL. It became double or nothing, then it became 100 ZIL. And I said, well, tell you what, I'm throwing that 100 ZIL on Larry, taking on you in golf. I don't know what happened. So am I a winner or am I a loser? What happened?
Yeah. Unfortunately, Darren, your ZIL is on its way to Nick. Both Nick and Marcus broke 100, and I didn't. So I was my first round of the year, first time swinging a club of the year, and you can imagine in that kind of heat, it was a bit of a struggle. But I don't know if you had any side bets or prop bets going as far as long drive or something. I might have retained a little bit of your ZIL there over the round. But yeah, it was pretty wildly inconsistent on my part. Had some good holes and some good drives, but it was a struggle for the most part. But again, as it always is for golf with me, it's more about the fun and the conversation and the getting out and meeting the boys than it is keeping score. But those guys were competitive, and Marcus and Nick were going hole for hole. They were playing a heads up kind of game, and Nick, it was funny. Nick was ahead by a couple at the turn. Nick had the shot of the day. He holed out from about 70 yards out, chipped it, and it did I think a 2-hop right into the cup. So that was the shot of the day. He got to do a little celebration on the fairway. Didn't even have to bring out the putter on that hole. But they're both good golfers, and they were going head-to-head. I think Nick was up by 2 or 3 at the turn, and actually Marcus turned it on in the second half and got a second wind, and he actually won, I think, by 1 or 2 strokes at the end. But good times had by all, and definitely great to get out on the course and put some more faces to names as far as the guys in the UFHL.
I thought it was a great place to let the ZIL ride, and I guess I put it on you, and I'm okay with losing it. It's amazing I had to wait till the podcast to find out who actually took the game, because Nick surprisingly didn't even gloat to me on Telegram, and I thought for sure I'd hear something, but I didn't. So good sport on him. I'm glad you guys had a good time. So I want to thank everybody again for taking the time today. Thanks to our great guests, of course, Morgan Bray, Mojo Designs, Andy McNamara, talking about the UFAFL auction. Starts July 16th. You can see it on the website right now. You just have to go to our website and register. Make sure you do, because you just never know, as we talked about in the program today. Comment on our podcast today. Please go to UFSN and check out all our great shows. Have a listen, have a look, have a like if you wouldn't mind, and subscribe to the UFSN on YouTube as well. This has been the official UFFS Podcast number 26, the special Saturday edition on the UFSN. Fish and Baits signing off officially for the UFFS, where you
This has been the This has been the UFFS Podcast with Darren Bates and Larry Fisher. Get in the game where you own the game at www.uffsports.com.